And we're back. Part two, West is done. What is next? It's the East, and we are going straight to the front court. I started last time. Bray, who's your first pick in the front court? We've got three slots here.
In the front court, I think there's a far and away been best player in the East, and that is going to be Kevin Durant. Slim Reaper has been incredible. Obviously, that team has been decimated like everyone else by COVID, and he's just played through it all. He hasn't had Kyrie. Harden's been out of shape, and he has just put the team on his back and carried them. The man is a bucket. It's unbelievable, like literally. And I heard someone talking about the Nets, and they were like, literally, whenever they're playing, it's like, oh, they've only got one shooter or two shooters on the floor because Harris has been out. If Harden's not there, if Kyrie's not there, KD's the one shooting the ball because they're literally fielding a team of G Leaguers other than that. So they're still managing to make it work. I can't quite believe it, to be honest. And they are, after handily demolishing the Bulls, only a game and a half behind us in second place. So, yeah, hats off to Durant.
I completely agree. Coming off a serious injury and his ridiculous workload that we had in the playoffs, where you thought Brooklyn, they have so many weapons. And then when it came down to it, they only had Durant. Like you said, he's averaging 29.7. That's the third highest of his career. And like you said, without his two running mates at full capacity, dismantled the Bulls last night. Pretty scary.
Oh, dear. Come back, Alex. We need you. We need Alex Caruso to help us.
Do you know, it was sort of like the guard. It was like when you think you're ready and it's like, you're not ready yet.
No,
you're not ready. Okay, second pick. I'm going to do it because it's my boy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the process. There's a stat with him with Embiid. He's kept us in the hunt. Without Embiid, Philly are on course to win just over 20 games. I think it was 22.5. With him, it's 55 and above. And that really says it all.
It's the same. One man, 30 games.
he seems like he's figured it out. Like he's matured a lot. He knows about spots. He's got a bit of athleticism back in his game, which is great to see. And I'm just hoping he stays healthy. And he's been great. He has been superb.
Is he still on that streak of 30-point games?
Yes, he has just surpassed, I believe it is AI and Wilt Chamberlain. If it's not Wilt, it will be Barkley. We lost last night, but he has been so good. It's such a shame though. Will the window be wasted?
Literally, and like I see it now. It's like now it's malpractice not to put some dudes around this man. It's insane. But so we'll save those talks for another podcast. My next pick, again, I think it's an obvious one. There's a guy who's kind of far and away, and that is Giannis Antetokounmpo. The only other person I considered for this spot was Jimmy Butler, but he simply hasn't played enough. He's been a dog, as he always is, but Giannis is he's an MVP. He's a Finals MVP. He's a champion, and has continued to kind of power through. I think we're going to see them right at the top. They're in fourth right now. They're 3 games behind. They're not going anywhere after a slow start this season.
They've had some surprising losses as of recently. I've looked at them, but Giannis himself, 1 or 2 players to average 25, 10, and 5. And if he maintains it, Bray, he's the first player in history to do it for 4 separate seasons.
Mental.
That's not 20, that's 25 you're averaging.
Yeah, I mean, I think and that's where you've seen him really develop his game. I think through sheer will, you can get to 20, but it's adding on those kind of extra finesse bits. He reads the game a lot better as time goes on. It's crazy to think this guy is so young, he's still getting better. And he was a back-to-back MVP. Was he a back-to-back? I think he was. But yeah, it just, although maybe he wasn't. He's just, look at him.
I think you're right.
I'd give it out for him. Anyway, move on to the guards. This is where I think we might have some disagreements, but you go first.
I wanted to give you this, but I feel like we need to lock in the one that we want to say, and the person that needs to be locked in is the Marvelous. It's double D. The DeMar DeRozan, man, 5th in scoring, leads the league in fourth quarter points. Obviously, we know about the back-to-back buzzer beaters, and I really think that the Bulls, the reason that they are the number 1 seed is, people buying in, but I also think it comes down to his experience and his leadership. He's led those Raptors teams, and there's nothing like a steady head to like sort of, maintain the direction that the team's going in. So I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, for sure. And it turns out that he's just a perfect fit, because as a Bulls fan, the difference between last season and this season, it's like when you see teams going on a run and the only answer is Zach LaVine and some incredibly high difficulty shots because he's got nothing else, you're like, oh, that's why we're losing games. Or you could just see them slipping away when there's not enough going on. And now you look at teams going on these runs and you go, oh shit, this is a game that Bulls lose last year. This is a game that they just haven't got enough. And then DeMar comes in and just rips off 2 mid-ranges, gets fouled, gets to the line. All of a sudden, he's like just manufacturing points for this team and keeping them in games that, I have to say, especially when he made those back-to-back game winners, the Bulls probably shouldn't have won either of those games. And that's just 2 extra wins. Embiid's giving you an extra 30 wins a season. Obviously, I don't think DeMar's been like dominant in that way, but I think, how many wins did the Bulls get last year? 30? He's giving you 20. He's getting you to be a 50-win team. That's just the impact he's had. So, yeah,
definitely. 100% agree on that. Okay, let's go to the second back slot. I know we previously spoke about this before, but who are you picking?
So I am a homer, and the Bulls have been the surprise of the season. I think it should be Zach LaVine. He is the perfect complement. Like the shots this guy takes are not easy. You have to watch him. You see the things he jacks up, and like you go, that's such a weird shot selection, and then he peers it, and you're like, oh no, that's what he does. He's not quite vintage Klay Thompson, but he can get you some points in a hurry. He's got that kind of turn it on when you need it and take over a game. His first step and his leaping ability is insane. And he has managed to still be really productive, even with someone like DeMar DeRozan who dominates the ball. So I think he deserves props for that. I want to go 2 Bulls because I'm a massive homer.
Okay, so my pick, I'm also being a homer because he's from Norman, Oklahoma. And the guy who actually missed out, he didn't get picked for All-Star last year. I'm going with Trey Young. Trey Young, 3rd in the league for usage rate, pretty high, but also 2nd for offensive efficiency. We know that the Hawks are struggling defensively, but we also know that teams should be targeting Trey Young. So that's no news to me, but it seems like they're actually putting that to fruition. Shame Philly didn't do that in the playoffs. I can be swayed on this, Bray, because the Hawks' record is pretty bad. And I think Trey is an extremely exciting player. I definitely see why LaVine should be in, because the Bulls are the number 1 seed in the East. I guess the other people we might need to consider, if you go back to selections, is Bradley Beal a player that we should be looking at, because the Wizards are doing better? I don't know. I'm sort of just.
I mean, so I see where you're coming from with Trey Young. For me, they are just not good enough as a team to have him in as a starter. And I think as the point guard of that team, as the guy with the highest usage rate, as the star, he has not done a good job of motivating his team this year. What do we have at the start? Oh, we don't care. We don't care about the regular season anymore. Well, look what happens when you don't care. You're in 12th place, 17-23, and now they want to blow up your team to trade Ben Simmons. Like, it's all because of that bad start, in my opinion. He has been lighting it up, but that's not enough. That is just not enough.
I think he's got some bad eggs. I think John Collins, he seems to complain a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, but then I don't, it's part of it's Trey's responsibility to help foster his teammates. You know, it's all well and good him just getting the most shots, scoring 28 points, but yeah, he's getting 9.5 assists. But like, if he dropped down to 25, if he was 25 and 12 instead of 28 and 9, like I think that would make a huge difference to his team. You know, if you saw him trying to put himself on the line defensively a bit more, trying to help motivate his guys, even though he's not got the athleticism to do it. If he was, you know, picking pockets and that kind of thing, I think that would make a massive difference. But I just don't think he's there in his career yet. He's still super young. I think it will come with time. But that's why I don't think he should be rewarded with a starting spot. I think he will get in the team, but that's where we are.
That was what I was going to ask you. That's what I was going to ask you.
And I think you mentioned obviously with what was the guard you mentioned?
Bradley Beal.
So they've fallen off a bit, and there's some other teams where you go, oh, do these guys deserve someone? Does Cleveland deserve someone in the shape of Garland, or maybe Jared Allen's probably the key guy in there, but obviously front court is stacked and getting in. For the Bucks, Drew Holiday's been good as always, but the team in third right now is the Miami Heat, and it's the Kyle Lowry show. I think he's probably been the only guy who, while he doesn't have stats that are as good as everyone else, he's contributed to winning more than I think any of the other guards in this kind of lineup. So I think he's one potentially I could be swayed on with LaVine, but equally, you know, they've had some really streaky performances from the likes of Max Strus and things like that happen. So it's a bit difficult for me to justify it. But yeah.
I would also say the last person as well, and people might think I'm crazy, but LaMelo could also be consideration for this year. He's had a really good year, and I've been really impressed with what he's been doing. But I think you sold me on LaVine, especially when you were talking about what Trey said at the start of the season. Definitely agree with you there. So I'm happy with the Bulls backcourt indeed.
Come on. I don't think, for the record, I don't think they deserve 3 All-Stars. They're not been that good. Probably.
No,
Vooch hasn't been good enough. I don't think. But yeah. And unfortunately, Lonzo's missed a bit of time. But to be fair, everyone has. But I don't know.
Dubs should get 2, Suns should get 2, and Bulls should get 2. Maybe the Nets get 2, but it depends. They had a lot of people out. But yeah.
Also, and obviously, you know, Harden's super popular. So if I go back to that list from what, a week ago, the guard lineup in terms of voting so far, like a week ago, was DeRozan at the top, Harden second, Trey Young third, and LaVine fourth. LaMelo coming up in fifth there. So yeah, anything could happen. There's only 2 spots though. I think Harden could well hold on to that for a starting spot, and then all of a sudden you've got to put LaVine in as a reserve, and it knocks out one of those other guys that we discussed, like Beal or LaMelo or someone like that, or even someone like Tyler Hero, who's been a real spark plug off the bench for Miami and deserves at least talking about, even if it's just to say he's not quite there yet. Yeah, many deserving candidates. We've only got 10 selections. This is what we've come up with. I'm happy with it.
Bray, excellent job. Not many, and also I think it was 1-on-1. I got Gobert, you got LaVine. I think everyone's happy.
Exactly. These are our all-star selections. Maybe we'll come back and do the reserves at some point when the starters have been announced. Yeah, everyone get out there and vote, especially for LaVine and DeRozan.
Yes, indeed. All right. See you all later.
Latest. Bye.